Hey guys, welcome to the homestead. So today we are getting ready to go out to the garden and harvest peanuts. The two boys are going to help me. It's fall and we've had our first mild frost last night, and it seemed like the leaves of the peanuts have been green for a long time. They're just now starting to yellow, and I pulled up a couple plants the other day. There's Joshua.
Hey, Blue.
And they were fine, and we had a couple, and they taste really good. I think these are the boiling kind. From what I understand, there's two types of peanuts. There's a boiling and there's a roasting. And so I think we planted the boiling, which are really good to eat raw. They taste really good. And because these taste pretty good when they're raw, I think that's what they are. I don't know for sure. I just know I got them from a neighbor. I planted them as an experiment this year, and it looks like they're doing okay. So we're gonna go out there, dig them up, and see how we did. Yeah, Joshua's gonna grab that container right there on there. Just grab that. We're gonna bring that over, and we're gonna carry the peanuts back with that.
Okay, much water in it.
Okay. Close the outdoor kitchen. We'll head over to the garden. Here's our peanut patch right here, and you can see that some of the leaves are still pretty green. I mean, some of them are dying. I mean, some of them are turning colors, like over here. They're turning colors, turning black. But a lot of these are still green, but we're gonna go ahead and pull them up anyway. And let's get started doing that. We'll have the kids pull up. This will be fun. Look at all those peanuts. A lot of people will just hang the plants up and try to dry the plants hanging up somewhere. I've seen that. People do that online. But there's a lot of people online who just said, you know, you can pick them, throw them in a tub, and then dry them like that. So that's kind of what we're going to do. We're just going to pick them up and dry them. I mean, some of these are already good to eat. We've been eating on them, you know, for the last week or so, pulling them out and seeing, you know, how the growth has been. And definitely many of them are ready to eat now. Some of them, you pull them out and they're not developed. But there's like nothing inside the shell. You just kind of squish the shell. But most of them are pretty full of peanuts. A couple of them, like this one right here, they're already sprouting. Look at that. I mean, there's been a number of them we pulled out like that where they're already coming up and forming new plants. The peanuts have germinated and are sprouting. Well, here's our tub of peanuts. We pulled as many out of the ground as we possibly could. I know we probably didn't get them all, but I mean, we could really probably be here for hours still digging them out and getting every single last one. But this is a good amount to start with. I think the kids had a fun time pulling them out. But I think probably it would take about that many peanuts, I think, seed-wise, that we used this year to grow all this. So I mean, it was about a handful of seeds that I planted. It wasn't much more than a couple dozen seeds, probably 2 dozen tops, and that's what we got out of it. You know, 2 dozen seeds out of a lot of peanuts. So we'll eat a lot of these. We'll save some for seed, and then we'll go ahead and plant these next year again and see, you know, how they do. This is the first, you know, every year is an experiment. You plant something new, you see how it does. If it works well, you do it again the next year. You know, so I think maybe we waited a little bit too late to pull some of these out. Some of them were rotten, some of them were sprouting already. Most of these are really good to eat. Some of them, a few of them weren't developed. Some of them, like this one, that seems really light. So yeah, like there's nothing in that one. But most of these have peanuts in them. So I don't know, it's just, you try it and you see what happens, and you do it again the next year, and you grow what works on your homestead. You're going to experiment with a lot of things that aren't going to work, and then when you find out something doesn't work, you move on to something else, and you keep the things that do work. So yeah, we're going to take these over to the house. We're going to start to dry them, and then once they're dry, we can start cleaning them up and getting them processed to eat. So again, first time doing peanuts. You know, anytime I ever harvest something like this, or any crop that anything that I would grow here, I always think about during the harvest, how do people do this And Cat wants to look. How do they do this in mass scale? And it's really actually kind of phenomenal. Like, you'll find amongst here, some of these are really big and long. Like that one's kind of longer than what a normal peanut will be that you find in the store. And I mean, there's some really gigantic or really shaped weird ones. I think the longest one we had was like, I mean, that big. It was really big. And some of these are really fat. And so, you know, they have to create machines. Like this one's kind of fat too. But they have to create machines to weed all these out because they want the peanuts all uniform size. So when you buy a bag of peanuts, they're all shaped about like that. So that takes industry machines to, you know, do all that. And some of these are small. Like that one's really thin, kind of. I mean, there's just different varieties in here. But anytime I always harvest what I've grown, I always think about how did they do this on a mass scale? Because it's really a lot of work. I mean, we spent, you know, a good hour out there. And we only harvested maybe, goodness, a 10 by 10 foot area of peanuts. You know, we got this much out of it, which, you know, we'll eat this during the winter time. But that's a lot of work for an hour for a 10 foot by 10 foot area or about thereabouts. So you always think about how did they do this on a mass scale? How do they do this now today on a mass scale? So winter's coming on. We had our first small frost and last night, and so I wanted to get these out of the ground. The garden's about done. The only thing I have left over there growing is a little bit of squash, which seems still to be doing okay. I don't know if it's going to fully get done or not. I planted really late. And then also I have sunchokes over there growing that I can pull up whenever I want during the winter time, but as a food source. So that's about it. You know, the garden is done. You know, peanuts were really the last thing to do. We did salsa this year again. These are some of the seed heads from the sorghum cane sugar that we do, and so we'll sell those online. I'm not going to sell peanuts this year because we're going to eat this. I don't want to sell the seed, but we have, you know, we'll sell the seed if you're interested in growing sorghum. It's a really fat cane that comes up out of the stuff if you have good soil. So, and the seeds can pop like popcorn, and they're great for animals. Like you can throw this to your chickens and the chickens will pick it clean. So it's chicken food, turkey food. And you can also plant this in a field and let your livestock graze over it. After it gets about waist high, they will eat it down. And it's a lot of food for livestock. So there's multiple uses of this stuff too you can use. But anyway, the garden's done this year. That's really it. It was a good year, and you know, next year we're gonna do it all over again this spring. Wintertime is the time you work on your gardens, get it in gear, you know, start to get that soil ready. I'll probably try to put down some more mushroom mycelium this year just to see how that goes. But yeah, we're basically done, and I'm looking forward to what we do next spring. Hey, what should we experiment with next? If you have things that you've experimented with that are kind of out of the norm, you know, in your garden, put a comment below. Let me know what it is. Maybe we'll try it. All right, guys. See you next time on American Homestead.